Colin here with Team Align, and today I'm going to go over the basic 3GX setup procedure on this TRX 450L Dominator. This is the second part of our two-part build video series on this helicopter. As you can see here, I've got the 3GX mounted in the included platform that's in between the frames, which makes it very neat and tidy. Once again, I'm just going to follow the included software instructions step by step, but hopefully this gives you a different perspective and may clarify a few things and just speed up and expedite the process of the setup on your 450L Dominator with the 3GX. Before we can begin with the 3GX setup on the actual helicopter, there's a few things we need to take care of first in the transmitter. The first thing being your model selection type. Number one, you need to make sure it's selected to a helicopter type, but number two, you need to make sure that the swash plate selection is correct as well. So, like I mentioned before, model type helicopter, and over here you can see the swash plate type is selected to a 120 degree 3 servo CCPM setup. In Futaba it's abbreviated as HR3. Spectrum and JR transmitters may be different, but in the end you still need to have it set up as whatever the manual specifies as a 120 degree 3 servo CCPM swash plate type. The second thing I'd like you to do is go into your endpoint menu and make sure that everything's at 100% during the setup. As you can see here, my rudder or tail rotor channel has been reduced to 95, and that's because I've already flown the model, and that's what I feel is a comfortable rate. Before you go and take off, you might want to even reduce that to 70% just so you've got a softer feel. But for right now, let's leave everything at 100%. The third thing that I'd like you to look at is your servo reversing. With any Futaba radio, you're going to need to reverse your throttle channel if you're using the included line speed control. As you can see, my aileron and elevator are normal, and my pitch channel is reversed. We're going to take a few safety measures before we even get started with the 3GX setup by disconnecting the motor from the speed control or disconnecting the lower main shaft bolt from the drive gear so that there's no possible way, even if by mistake we bump the throttle channel or move the throttle stick, that there's going to be power to the main blades. The first thing you'll have to do is plug your servos into the 3GX correctly. As you can see here, there's an illustration of what servo is what. If you're looking at the helicopter from the top, facing forward on the right is going to be your aileron servo. Facing forward to the left will be your pitch servo, and then finally at the very back is your elevator servo. Now you need to make sure that you plug each of those servos, as illustrated here, into the respective slots in the 3GX to make sure everything's going to work correctly. So, your forward right servo, which is aileron, will be plugged into your aileron slot. Your forward left servo, being pitch, will be plugged into the pitch slot, and the elevator the same thing. After you've got that done, you have to go through and map your channels accordingly so that everything works correctly. Here's where you're going to assign each channel to its respective control. Channel 1 needs to be aileron, channel 2 will be elevator, 3 throttle, 4 rudder, 5 gyro, 6 will be pitch. That's not how it's going to come at a factory model setting. You're going to have to swap your pitch and your throttle around. Once you've got that done, we can move forward and start setting up the 3GX unit. To enter the setup mode on the 3GX, you have to hold down the set button while you apply power to the speed control. Hold the button until the lights begin to flash and then release it. Once your DIR light is on, you're ready to move forward and start setting up your swash plate. It's at this point during the 3GX setup that we're going to make sure the direction of our swash plate is correct. When I push the cyclic stick forward, the swash plate should move forward. When I pull the cyclic stick back, the swash plate should tilt back. When I move the stick to the right hand part of the swash plate should dip down, and the same thing for left. When I move the collective stick up, the swash plate should travel up, putting a positive blade pitch on the main rotor blades, and when I pull the stick down, the swash plate should drop, doing the exact opposite to the main blades. Now we're going to return back to half stick and make sure that each one of our servos is at exactly 90 degrees to the servo case. That's going to ensure that all your servos are at the exact same spot and that your swash plate is level. All of these linkages should be the exact same length, so to get your swash plate level, you're going to need to sub-trim your servos so that it's that way. Don't adjust the linkages. Ensuring that they're the same length means that you're going to have perfect mechanical geometry and all of your servos will actually be 90 degrees. The next part of the setup is your elevator limit setting. To move to that, all you have to do is press the set button once. You'll see the LED moves over to the E-limit setting. Now you need to put a pitch gauge onto your blade, and number one, ensure that your blade is actually at 0 pitch when the transmitter is at half stick. If it's not, simply adjust your DFC link to achieve that. Once you've got that done, you need to either push forward or pull back on your cyclic stick to hold the elevator at one of its limits. Once it's at its limit, all you have to do is adjust your AFR setting either up or down to achieve 8 degrees of cyclic pitch. Once you've got that, you can release the stick and then hit the set button on the 3GX unit to memorize that extreme. By pushing down on the set button once more, we're entering the gyro compensation direction. Now you need to pick up the helicopter off the workbench slightly and tilt it forward and backward. When you tilt the helicopter forward, the swash plate should go back. As you can see, it does here. By hitting the set button on the 3GX once more, you're going to enter the aileron limit setting. You should treat this exactly how you did the elevator setting. Go to 0 pitch, collective-wise, and then move your aileron stick all the way over, adjust your AFR until you achieve 8 degrees. The number should be exactly the same as it was with your elevator. Then release the stick and push down on the set button. So all the way over 8 degrees, back, then push the set button to memorize that position. The next setting in the 3GX is your aileron gyro compensation direction. When you lift the model up off the bench and tilt the helicopter to the right, the swash plate should correct to the left. If it doesn't, all you have to do is simply move the aileron or cyclic stick to the left or right and change that direction setting. Once you've got that done, hit the set button once more to complete the cyclic setup for the 3GX. To enter the tail rotor gyro setup on the 3GX, first plug in your battery to the speed control and let the flybarless unit initialize. Once it's initialized, you can hold down the set button until you see the first light illuminate. That first light is going to let you know what servo type you're going to pick. The green light is a standard 1520 servo, while an orange or amber light is a 760 servo, which is only going to be a Futaba high frame rate tail rotor servo. So we're going to pick 1520. Hit the button once more, and now you can see the next setting is either a digital servo or an analog servo. The green light depicts a digital servo, which is what's included with the kit. So we're going to go with the digital servo type. The next setting that you'll see in the 3GX is your tail rotor gyro compensation direction. You want to make sure that you've got the tail rotor working in the correct direction before you set this up. When you move the tail rotor stick to the left, your push rod should move back. When you move the helicopter to the left, the tail rotor direction should compensate to the right. If that's not the case, then simply move the rudder stick to the left or right until you see this light up here illuminate. That will indicate that the gyro direction has been reversed. Then you can hit the set button once more to move on to the next step. This one needs to be in the normal green light configuration to work properly. Finally, once we hit the set button once more, you'll be into your limit setting. To set up your endpoint, simply move the tail rotor stick all the way over to the left so you achieve maximum throw but without binding. Simply wait 2 or 3 seconds, then move the stick all the way over to the right, do the exact same thing, and then wait. Once it's done, that completes your tail rotor gyro setup. That's it for the initial 3GX setup on this particular Align helicopter. It will be very similar for other models as well. I'd just like to say thank you for supporting Align and watching these build videos. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.